ever felt God's Spirit prompting you to do something that you felt inadequate for or perhaps overwhelmed by, I hope that my testimony today will be an encouragement to you. My parents are the founders of the IDES ministry, and their story illustrates the truth that God uses His people, ordinary people, to accomplish His purposes. As we try to be obedient to Him, God works through ordinary people like you and me. My dad's father deserted his family when Daddy was only 4 years old, and he never got over the pain of being abandoned. He would still cry about that late in his life. And he grew up under very poor circumstances as his mom struggled to provide for him. And I think that's one reason he's always had a heart for the poor. God used the suffering that my dad had experienced to help him develop a deep compassion for other people who were hurting. My parents were both from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and there was a Boy Scout leader in a Presbyterian church there that took an interest in my dad and started nurturing his faith in God and encouraged him to come to church regularly. And my dad learned to trust God as his father. When Daddy went into the Navy at the end of World War II, he looked for a group of believers to fellowship with and started studying with the navigators. And it was through that Bible study that he became convinced of his need to be immersed into Christ for the forgiveness of his sins. So it was his Navy chaplain that baptized him in the Pacific Ocean. He'd gotten married just 6 days before he left to serve in the Navy, and when he came home and shared with my mom the decision he had made, she couldn't really understand that and actually thought it was rather arrogant of him to think that he suddenly understood the scriptures better than their Presbyterian minister. So my dad had to kind of lay low on that subject. They stayed in that church and had their first 3 children sprinkled there and learned a lot of good things in that church. A job change required my parents to move to southern Indiana, and there were some young couples in the East Columbus Christian Church who got to know my parents and started studying the Bible with them every week. So through their friendship and Bible study, my mom was persuaded that she also needed to be baptized in the biblical way. I was born after that, and I also have a younger brother, and we grew up in the Christian church, all 5 of us siblings, and saw our parents continue to study the scriptures and to grow in their faith and really try to be obedient to God, to the things that they learned from the scriptures, and look to God for direction in their daily living. They moved again to northern Indiana, to Marion, and my dad served as a Sunday school teacher there and as an elder for many years. And I saw him lots of times working with people one-on-one if they were going through some type of personal crisis, if they had the health issues or needed a furnace fixed or car repaired, or we would carry groceries into people. My mom and dad would do what they could to help them out of their own pocket because they really saw those as teaching opportunities. It was important to my dad for people to know that you're not alone. God sees you. He sees your need, and He sends His people alongside you to help you when you're hurting, because He wants you to know that He loves you and cares about you, and Daddy wanted other people to experience the grace and love of God that had helped him.